Welcome to the Silver and Black Fantasy Football League Weekly Report. Week 2 is in the books and a couple of surprises. Two teams that are 2-0 that I thought would be 0-2, and a league champion, two-time league champion, 0-2 to start the season. Let's get straight to the action. In the first game, we had the EBC versus the Ballers in a real high-flying game. The Ballers won by 5, 77-72, led by Frank Gore, this week's Player of the Week. 207 yards, 2 touchdowns, 23.84 points. Also, Drew Brees chipped in with 3 touchdowns, 18.15 points, and Vincent Jackson, 141 yards and a touchdown for 13.64. For the EBC, they were led by Chris Johnson, who scored 2 touchdowns rushing, 1 receiving, 197 yards for 31.36 points. The rest of the team did well. Dallas Clark, 15.32 points, but the downfall was no points from Greg Jennings. Another tough loss for the EBC. Perennial losers, but this year they have a good team, but they're just not getting the breaks. And the Ballers, not unfamiliar with having a good team, but we'll see if that'll keep up for the rest of the season. To the next game, we have two surprising teams. The Pimp Daddies, 2-0, beating the Black Knights. The Pimp Daddies and the Knights are previous winners of the Hammer, but the Daddies went out on top, and they had their highest score, 78.65 points, led by Ronnie Brown with 19.44 points, 2 touchdowns, 136 yards. And there was actually 3 players in double digits. Tony Romo with 11.81 points, 127 yards passing, 1 passing touchdown and 1 rushing touchdown. And the Giants D chipped in with 10. No one had less than 6 points. For the Knights, Carson Palmer led the way with 3 touchdowns passing and 1 rushing for 20.51 points. Michael Turner got himself a 100-yard game with a touchdown, 12.4 points. And John Carney chipped in with 12 points for them, but it was not to be. The Cowboys ended up with 0 points, and MJD did not have a very good game. Carson Palmer had a great game for the Knights, but it just wasn't enough. The Knights are going to need Michael Turner and MJD to carry this team, and the Pimp Daddies Brown in the Wildcat offense seems to be doing well. We're going to go to the next game. Raider Nation versus the Hellhounds. As I stated last week, a bye week for the Nation, and I was right. The Nation crushed the Hounds 76-31, led by Marquez Colston, who had 2 touchdowns, 98 yards, and 15.92 points. Trent Edwards, Adrian Peterson, D'Angelo Williams, and the Packers defense were in double digits. Trent Edwards with 12 points, 2 touchdowns, in place of Donovan McNabb. Adrian Peterson found the end zone, and so did D'Angelo Williams. As far as the Hellhounds, they're still struggling. Randy Moss only had 24 receiving yards. Isaac Bruce with 35 receiving yards. The leading scorer was Steven Gostkowski, the kicker, with 9. But the Hellhounds are having problems putting the right people on the field, with Matt Schaub on the bench with 22.92 points. A pretty poor performance by the Hounds, only 31 points. And Randy Moss hasn't found the end zone. Sean Hill not being able to do anything. So it might be a tough year for the Hounds. As for the Nation doing pretty well. Adrian Peterson, even though he didn't do a whole lot, we had Marquez Colston leading the way for them. And you know, I think once Donovan McNabb comes back to the Nation, they might be unstoppable. Moving on to the next game, we have the Fun Hogs against TNT. And the Fun Hogs scrapped this one out. They won 51-45, led by Marion Barber with a touchdown, 124 yards. Also, Tony Gonzalez got in the end zone as a Falcon. And Kurt Warner also got into double digits with 11.24 points. Unfortunately for the Fun Hogs, Brian Westbrook, Marion Barber, and Pierre Thomas are hurting pretty badly. But fortunately for them, they're able to still get out a win. As far as TNT,
They could get their season turned around if T.O. wakes up. He got a touchdown this week for 8.6 points, but he's still struggling because Tom Brady only had 2.96 points, and Steven Jackson got over 100 yards but did not find the end zone. Kellen Winslow got a touchdown, and Adam Vinatieri got 9 points.
The Fun Hogs pulled out the win, but unfortunately for them, the running back situation looks like a mash unit. If they can stay healthy, though, they might be able to make a run for a third championship. As far as TNT, having a little difficulties with their keepers. Tom Brady, Steven Jackson not performing, but I would like to say a big congratulations for a brand new baby girl. I can't wait to meet her, and hopefully you get enough sleep. All right, here we go to the next game. So, Mafia Boys versus Hells Angels. Not that interesting, but we'll go to it anyway.
The boys beat the Angels 57-46, led by Phillip Rivers, who had 2 touchdowns and 436 yards. Clinton Portis and Lindale White looked poor. Lindale only had 1 point. We'll see if they ever actually put McGahee into the lineup. He had 15.56 on the bench. Percy Harfin and Lee Evans both got into the end zone. As for the Angels, Chad Ochocinco led the way with 9.64 points and a touchdown. Darren Sproles, in LT's absence, got 14 points, 124 receiving yards, and 81 yards on a touchdown. Ryan Grant looked pretty good with a touchdown, 8.72 points. But the boys are a surprise, being 2-0 so far.
And finally, in the last game of the week, there was a close one. Homer Simpson held on to beat the Bears 65.41 to 65.36. Not quite as painful as the loss that the nation had by .01 in the playoffs, but the Bears still feel the sting.
Because they lost to Homer by .05 points, and they were led by Matt Ryan, who had 15.05 points with 3 passing touchdowns. Fred Jackson was 163 yards on the ground. Larry Fitzgerald, Roddy White, and Owen Daniels each found the end zone, and Nate Kading had 14 points as the kicker. As for the Bears, Andre Johnson had a monster game. He had 2 touchdowns, 149 yards for 19.96 points, and Peyton Manning had a very impressive game against the Miami Dolphins, in which he's only on the field for 15 minutes, but he was still able to get 303 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, and 14.16 points. Also, the Broncos defense got 13 points.
Thomas Jones and Willie Parker went into hibernation this week, and the Bears ended up losing by a very slim margin. But still early in the season. As we know, that's the last of the games in week 2. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the standings.
And there are 4 teams that are undefeated. Raider Nation and Mafia Boys are on top of the Black Hole Division at 2-0. You have Westside Ballers, the high power ranking, with 2-0 on the John Madden Division, and Pimp Daddies are 2-0 in the Just Win. You have a 3-way tie in Gene Upshot, the Bears, Homer Simpson, and Hells Angels, all at 1-1. And the winless teams are the Hellhounds, Notorious EBC, Black Knights, and TNT. I'm not going to do my own previews, but here are the Gurus picks. We have the Bears, 68, Hells Angels, 59. And the Guru thinks that the Ballers will win 73-61 against Homer. We have the Nation favored against the Boys 68-57. And we have TNT favored against the Daddies 76-62. And the Hellhounds are 78-point favorites against 59 Fun Hogs. And then EBC 74. The Knights 68, and that is the previews, the Guru picks.
So that was the Silver and Black Fantasy Football League Weekly Report. Good luck in week 3. I'll see you next time.